Welcome. This is Father Mark Toops, pastor of Christ the Redeemer Catholic Church in Thibodaux, welcoming you to a series of videos communicating changes to our youth formation at Christ the Redeemer. And this particular video is focusing on our vision for youth formation. You might say the why behind the what. And as we cast our vision for youth formation today, we're going to break up our conversation into two different sections. Part one will be, what is the purpose of church in general? And part two, what is our vision for youth formation at Christ the Redeemer? And it's our hope with this video to familiarize our parishioners, both youth and adults, on new initiatives with what was formerly known as CCD. Perhaps you are a teenager, a junior high student, and you're wondering what's going to be available for you as you have a desire to grow in your relationship with Jesus Christ. Maybe you're a parent of a child in CCD and you've heard that we have new changes. This video is designed to help you and your child understand how we can best serve you. Or maybe you're just a parishioner in the pew. You've heard that we've got some new things happening and you want to learn more about it. All of what we're talking about today is designed to help you become more familiar with the way that God is leading us in serving our youth here at Christ the Redeemer Catholic Church. So let's dive in today. Part one, what's the purpose of church in general? Just to cover a few things that'll kind of help anchor us today. Number one, the church was founded by Jesus himself, right? And Jesus, as he died, rose, and ascended to his Father in heaven, said that he would never leave us. He would be with us always, and he's with us through the church. The disciples of Jesus Christ live on today. And those disciples who comprise the church not only is us walking together along the way, but it's our Holy Father, it's our bishops, it's our priests, it's the magisterium that also guides us and leads us and helps us to grow in holiness. The church, in general, it belongs to Jesus Christ because it was founded by Jesus Christ. And the church has a mission. As it belongs to Jesus, the mission of the church belongs to Jesus Christ. So we have a mission, and that mission was given to us by God himself. And what's true about the church is true about our parish, Christ the Redeemer. Christ the Redeemer was founded by Jesus. And even though we have a very rich 35-year history with legendary epic stories of our founding by great people who gave of themselves generously to the founding of the parish, and Father Pat O'Brien, his love for us, his beautiful, beautiful heart, we talk about our founding in a very particular and very beautiful way. But it's good for us to be reminded that ultimately Christ the Redeemer was founded by Jesus. It was his before it was ours, you might say. Christ the Redeemer belongs to Jesus Christ. And one of the ways that we express our passion for God, and one of the ways that the lady expressed their commitment to Jesus Christ, is when we hear things said, and I quote, the parish belongs to the people, end quote. I certainly understand where that's coming from because pastors, even if they are stable for 15 years, like Father Pat and Father Gallen were, or whether they are more temporary in nature, like I was or Father Mitch was, with shorter seasons of loving you. The pastors come and go, and I often hear people say that the parish belongs to the people because they remain. And I understand where that passion's coming from, but it's important for us to understand that Christ the Redeemer belongs to Jesus. And it's been given to us, we've been entrusted with a mission at Christ the Redeemer, which all of us together, priest and laity, come together to fulfill that mission. So Christ the Redeemer was founded by God. Christ the Redeemer belongs to God. Christ the Redeemer has a mission which was given to us by God. And so we all together at Christ the Redeemer, we are stewards of what Jesus Christ himself has entrusted us with. What has Jesus entrusted us with? Well, a mission. And it's a mission that he gave the whole world, the whole Catholic Church. And it's a mission that we embrace here at Christ the Redeemer. In Matthew chapter 28, right before Jesus ascends to his Father, he says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you." Christ the Redeemer, the Diocese of Home of Thibodaux, the Catholic Church across the world, we all share one mission: to make disciples. And the question is, how are we doing with the mission? Especially if we look at our diocese, which is celebrating our 40th anniversary in these past years. And as we look back, well, of course, what we know in our diocese is that we're doing the best that we possibly can, right? We have great people who have good hearts. We're all working hard for the kingdom. What we see in the diocese is certainly President Christ the Redeemer. We're doing the best we can. We have great people, and our parishioners have great hearts. And we've worked hard in our 35 years to do the best that we possibly can. However, it's important for us to understand the reality of what is in front of us. There's a great quote from Arthur Anderson, as he once said that in the absence of direction, people tend to create their own. And if we look at our diocese in general, if we look at perhaps parishes across our diocese, one of the things that perhaps we'll admit is that in the absence of direction, people tend to create their own. In other words, I don't think that we've always been as focused on the mission, or we haven't been as intentional on the mission of making disciples as perhaps we could be. Diocese of Home Thibodeau was founded in 1977, and in 1977 we were 67% Catholic. In 2017 we celebrated our 40th anniversary, and on our 40th anniversary we were 38% Catholic. That means in 40 years, we've lost 1/3 of our Catholics, which means we can no longer say that South Louisiana is Catholic. Now, I want to pause there for a second and to feel the sobriety there. Those are not just statistics. Those aren't just numbers. Those are people, right? Those are souls. And some of those people and some of those souls are very close to us. That's very particular to us. We all know people who perhaps have left the Catholic Church, or who no longer go to Mass, or who are struggling in their faith or in their trust of the church. In the absence of direction, people tend to create their own, and sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't. But it's important for us to understand that we've lost 1/3 of our Catholics in 40 years. And if we don't do anything, then nothing's going to change. I'm grateful today for our bishop, Bishop Fabre, who on our 40th anniversary, June 4th of last year, 2017, he promulgated Plans of Hope, which is a diocesan strategic plan. And since then, since we promulgated the strategic plan, great things are happening. So I know that some of those numbers are a little sobering, so let's balance that with the good news, the movement of God. What is God doing? Well, for the first time in 14 years, Mass attendance in the diocese is actually on the rise. That's really good news for us, right? We take a Mass count in every parish in the diocese. All the people who attend either the Vigil Mass on Saturday or all of the Masses on Sunday, we take a Mass count every October and Lent in all the parishes, and we compare that to the previous time. So in October, we compare that to the previous October. In Lent, we compare it to the previous Lent. And for 14 years in a row, whenever we compared the current cycle to the previous cycle, we always saw a decrease in Mass attendance. Well, for the first time in 14 years, we actually see more people coming to Mass than we did in the year prior to. So good news that great things are happening, right? You may have seen some of the resources from Dr. Brant Petrie in the Why We series, right? Why we believe, why we confess, and why we worship. If you've not yet seen those, we would encourage you to go to our website, ctr-hddiocese.org. You can access those videos for free. They're phenomenal videos, but across the diocese, check this out, 37,000 confirmed views. 37,000 times adults in our diocese got together to learn more about the Catholic Church and to learn more about what they believe, to strengthen them in their understanding of the Church. And our digital presence in 2018 is on pace to surpass 5 million. You may have seen a lot of our videos that we're releasing on our website, through Facebook and other social media outlets, whether it be those videos or other posts that we are sharing with the world, or our digital photography that we've updated. Our diocese has a digital presence on pace to be surpass 5 million in 2018. And when you consider how small our diocese is, that's an amazing statistic. So I just want to let you know some great things are happening across the diocese. The focus of the strategic plan that Bishop Fabre promulgated last year, Plans of Hope, has 3 focuses. Number 1, Sunday. How do we do a better job across the diocese with Sunday, right? And that's the 3 H's: hospitality, homilies and hymns. Second thing that the strategic plan focuses on is formation. How do we help our adults grow in their faith and their identity as a disciple? How do we help our young people and, of course, our Catholic schools? And then finally, our outreach, especially major life moments and parasocial ministry. Those major life moments, right? Baptism, marriage prep, marriage counseling, annulments, funerals. Those are major moments in life, and we want to do a better job. So here's the thing. Bishop Fobb coordinated a team of people, came up with a strategic plan to help us reverse the trend. In 40 years, we've lost a third of our Catholics. Bishop Fobb is ready, you might say, to take us in another direction by focusing on improving how we experience Sunday and improving our formation and doing a better job with outreach. And now, the focus of the strategic plan is on the mission of Jesus, which is to make disciples. And if we're going to make disciples, we have to ask two questions, right? What are we making, and how do you make one? We here in South Louisiana, we love to make jambalaya. We love to make gumbo. And if you want to make a jambalaya, you got to know what you're making, right? Is it going to be a seafood? Is it going to be chicken and sausage? And how do you make one? There's a specific recipe. There's a way we do it, right? So if we're called to make disciples, then we have to ask two questions. Number one, what are we making? And number two, how do you make one? Well, if we're making disciples, we ask the question, what does a disciple look like, especially a mature disciples? Now, I'm going to walk through this very quickly. If you'd like to learn more, you can find more videos on our website, ctr-htdiocese.org. But I want you to just imagine for a second, if you yourself watching this, if you were able to thrive in the following areas: your relationship with God, right? Your conversion, your ability to say no to the things that hold you back from God, living in freedom to perhaps say no to sin, grounded in your faith. I think this is a really big one, right? I think a lot of people, when they don't feel God, they're more susceptible, right? It's harder. But imagine if we were grounded in something bigger than our feelings, right? Learning more about the faith and grounding our commitment to God beyond emotion. Discerning, imagine if God's will and his voice were present to you on a daily basis, where we were growing in virtue and holiness. The sacraments became alive in our life. We had people in our life who we were walking with. We saw other people and were able to serve them. And then, of course, we were not afraid to share the good news of Jesus Christ with other people. Now, imagine if your life looked like that. Imagine if you were able to thrive in those 9 things. Because if we're making disciples, that's what we want people to be able to thrive in, right? And we're going to be growing in those 9 areas our whole life, right? But that's what a disciple is, someone who has those 9 things active in their life. Now, it's difficult because a lot of us try to do that by ourselves. So just imagine if at Christ the Redeemer, we embrace the mission of Jesus Christ and we were helping you intentionally with those 9 areas of life. And imagine if our youth, you yourself, perhaps if you're a teenager, your kids, if you're a parent, imagine if our youth were formed to look like those 9 things, right? That would be amazing. And that's our hope. That's our desire. That's why we're sharing this vision. We want our young people to, by their 12th grade year in high school, we want them to be able to thrive at an age-appropriate way in those 9 areas of their life. Now, if you're going to make a disciple, you have to know what you're making, and you have to know how to make one. So how is it that you and I grow in our relationship with God? How is it that we form our teenagers to grow in those 9 areas? Well, we have the formation life cycle. It's a life process, right? But it's a process. It's a cycle of formation. And the 5 things that are part of the formation life cycle, we want to help our young people connect with each other, encounter the person of Jesus Christ, walk through their conversion, grow in their knowledge of the faith, and then equip them for mission. So those are the 5, you might say, aspects of formation. So we know what we're making. That's the 9 aspects that I just showed you. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to intentionally build these 5 dynamics into our approach to forming young people. We want to help them connect with each other and adults who love them. We want to help them encounter the person Jesus Christ. We want to help them have a conversion. We want to help them grow in their ability to stay in that conversion and then equip them for mission one day, right? And so imagine if CCD were more than just memorizing facts on Monday night, but imagine if our approach to youth formation were helping our young people connect encounter, have a conversion, grow, and be equipped for mission. Because that is what the purpose of the church is. And if that's what we've talked about in our first conversation here, let's talk about our vision for youth formation at Christ Redeemer. How do we specifically do that? If we are going to form disciples, then if we're going to make disciples, our approach has to be age appropriate. In other words, the way that we work with our high school students has to be tailored to the particular needs of high school students. And the way that we work with our second graders needs to be appropriate to where they are in second grades, right? So the way that we make disciples looks different depending on how old our youth are. Secondly, we want to focus on the student as much as we do on the content. A lot of times in the past, we've done the best that we possibly could in CCD, but a lot of times in the past, it could be perceived that the focus was more on the content rather than the students getting the content or appropriating the content, integrating the content. We want to be, if we're going to form disciples, as much focused on the lives of the students as we are on the information that we're sharing with them. We need to bridge the gap between CCD and youth ministry. In other words, in many parishes, there's this thing that happens on Monday night. We call that CCD, where we're sharing content. And then there's something else out there happening for teens who want to be mentored or grow in their relationship with Jesus Christ. And we want to bridge the gap there, right? It's the same student. It's the same teenager. It's the same young person. And of course, we want to share theological content in that mentoring, but of course the theological content needs the mentoring if it's going to connect to the lives of our youth. So what does this mean? Well, number one, it means that when we are working with our young people, we are sharing the theological aspects of the church, catechesis, you might say, as a means of forming a disciple. So the content is designed to help them grow as a disciple, not simply memorize things to memorize content. So what we're teaching them is aimed at something larger than them just memorizing answers. The content is designed to help them grow as a disciples, which means that we have to be as much experts in the students as we are experts in the content. What does this mean? What are the implications for the way that we work with youth? And number one, it means that we need to be more relational in our ministry. Instead of simply sharing content and not really know what's going on in the lives of our young people, we're going to be more intentional about relational ministry, relationships with our youth in a healthy, holy way, so that they know that other disciples are walking with them. That's going to require us to shrink the size of the classroom. That sometimes in the past we might have one teacher for 16 to 20 students. And again, in age-appropriate ways, as the students are getting older, that classroom needs to get smaller so that we have more time to develop relationships with them. In fact, it's our goal that with our high school ministry, we would eventually have 4 adults for every 8 teenagers. You can see a 1-to-2 ratio there, so that things are much more mentoring-based and much more relational in the formation. What does it mean? It means we have to meet our youth where they are. We have to meet them with the questions that they're asking at the age that they are. So in our vision for youth formation, we have, you might say, identified 3 groupings: 9th through 12th grade formation, 6th through 8th grade formation, and 1st through 5th grade formation. So you might say elementary, junior high, and high school formation. And we are going to be introducing some new structures at Christ the Redeemer so that we can best serve our students there. But why are we doing it? Well, we're doing it because we've been entrusted with a mission. The mission is to form disciples. That comes directly from Jesus. The mission is not to simply have them memorize things for a test. The mission is to form disciples so that they grow in their relationship with Jesus Christ and their capacity to follow him. We've been entrusted with our youth. We appreciate, we honor, we reverence the responsibility that we have in walking with our younger parishioners. Some of those parishioners are your kids, and we have been entrusted with your trust. We reverence that by doing the best we possibly can to serve them. And we do look forward to serving you. And if there's anything that we can do to continue to walk with you or your child, or perhaps you as a teenager, we'd love to reach out to you. You can contact Rebecca Aboud, who is our coordinator of youth formation. Her extension at Christ Redeemer is 212. Our office number is 447-2013. You can dial her extension 212 to reach out to her directly. Her email address is up there, rebecca.aboud@htdiocese.org. Reach out to us. Let us know how we can serve you. Go to our website, ctr-htdiocese.org. We also have a second video that gives you some very specific details, but if you want to understand what we're doing, we now have a vision of why we're doing it. God bless you. Keep praying for us. We look forward to serving you. And until we see you at church, God bless. Bye-bye.